hmm Good afternoon, good morning, and good evening whenever you're watching this, whenever you're catching this. Thank y'all so much for joining us on the Uncommon Commentators podcast. This is episode 64 that you're joining us. And we always love having y'all here. Of course, like we always say, y'all could be anywhere in the world, but you decided to be here with us. And we really, really, really appreciate your time. And we're really grateful that you decided to come talk some hoops with us today. But of course, I can't do it without my main man, Garrett Brown. How you been, Garrett? It's Thursday night, as we always do this. So I know the week's almost over, with Friday approaching tomorrow. So, how's your week been so far? And how was your weekend? Was it good? Like, how you been?
Yeah, brother. I've been all good, staying on the grind. So it's been a good week, ready for the weekend. How about you?
None. Same as you, man. Just working every day, writing every day, for real.
There you go.
Really trying to make sure I stay consistent, just like you. Always trying to make sure I'm really, staying on my best, like especially with the new year just now starting. Also got to show some love to my man Wiley on the ones and twos. Obviously cannot do this show without him, literally. Really, really, really enjoy talking to him every day. Always love talking hoops with him when he comes on, when he'll chime in with his 2 cents off screen. Always love having Wiley around. And he just gave us that really great introduction just then. That was a great, great, great intro. Really appreciate you putting that together for us. And yeah, tonight we got an easy show for y'all. Really entertaining show as well. Really just discussing the NBA All-Star Weekend that just took place. Of course, we saw it receive multiple reviews, some good, some bad. It was really different compared to what they had tried in the past with the traditional East versus West format. I thought it was cool. I thought, like the draft was cool. Like how like they had named the teams like the global stars, Kenny's young stars, and Shaq's OGs, like the older players and stuff like that. Even like some of the OGs that were young and stuff like that, to show like those are just like the younger players that Shaq really, really likes and admires and stuff like that. So, and also like the global stars, like all like the foreign players, like the European players. And we even saw Trey being on the team with those players. So it was pretty cool to see him be considered a global star, so to speak. And of course the young stars, just the young stars that Kenny liked. Most of the dudes like in their mid-20s. Mid to late 20s, like rarely, not many of them were in their early 30s and stuff like that. So I really liked like the All-Star game itself for the most part. Of course, Mac McClung came through again in the dunk contest for about the third consecutive year. He looked great, like he always does. He really shut it down. He was the man of the hour, like he always is, come the dunk contest. And I think next season we'll see if they want to give him some breathing room. I think that every time they come to him at this point, he honestly does like to do it. It puts him on the map every year. I know currently, like he was playing for the Escola Magic in the G League for the Orlando Magic, their G League affiliate team. And I've always thought he was a solid player. Obviously, he's super athletic, from most people can see. But I do think his success in the dunk contest will definitely lead to some opportunities in the actual league itself, just based on like the revenue he can generate being a popular player now that he is. And it was really cool to see him show out. And we saw that Tyler Hero, the first time All-Star, he did win the NBA 3-point contest, defeating, I'm pretty sure it was Buddy Hield and Darius Garland. And I thought Tyler looked great as well. So the first time All-Star, he's averaging 24 points and 5 assists, leading the Miami Heat this season after the whole Jimmy Butler situation. So it's really, really cool to see Tyler get all this shine as the new lead star, like as his franchise, coming in like near like the bottom of the lottery when he was selected out of Kentucky. And it's cool to see him really just grow into the star over the last couple years, averaging 20 points a game, but now really taking that leap into 25, 26 points a game, like he'll probably do next season, while also becoming a better playmaker and like a better shooter, just a better offensive threat overall. Really raising his level to the point where he can really lead a franchise at a young age too, at 25. So I'm really excited for Tyler Hero. I thought all like the All-Star winners showed out for the most part. But how did you feel about All-Star Weekend. I know a lot of people didn't really like it all over Twitter. They just really weren't a fan. They thought it drug on with like the musical performances, like the halftime acts. A lot of people didn't like it. They really just liked the basketball over all the festivities, you could say. But I always like the All-Star Weekend when it really makes it feel different like that. You can only catch it one time a year. And like, growing up, obviously it was a big part of our lives being basketball fans and stuff like that. But it's cool to see like all these new stars, like, and like how they try to, it's so many new young stars in the league that we even saw them have 3 different teams, like of all stars and stuff like that, to the point where like, it's just so much they're trying to cram and they're trying to have new things. Like it went from one game into a tournament, and like, they had like the rising stars playing like the Shaq's OGs. It was like Draymond was like, we're about to see
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, man.
Draymond was like,
we're about too much, bro.
Seriously. And like, before I pass it to you, I just wanted to just react to that. He was like, we're about to, I think he said like their Team USA about to play a U19 team or something like that. And the Rising Stars were looking pretty good. Like in like the first half of that game, they really were. No exaggeration. It was really, really competitive throughout the first half. So yeah, like how did you feel about the All-Star Weekend? Even players were chiming in like mid broadcast with the NBA mics in their hand, letting the association know how they felt. So how did you feel about All-Star Weekend as a whole?
Yeah, I mean, it was different, of course, with the new format, but as we discussed last week about the new format, it was as I anticipated, where I knew I wasn't going to really enjoy it, especially the format with the actual all-star players. As I've mentioned last week, I wish it would just be East versus West, the traditional all-star game that we've seen, for years. And I mean, I think it was a good experience for the Rising Stars team to play against the, one of the best players in the league, of course. But I mean, it was, of course, it was new, but it still didn't move me. I thought I would have liked it a little bit more, but I just didn't. So it was just where I will still prefer the East versus West All Star game. But even with that, with in terms of the format, I think it would have been better if the score was higher instead of it being 40. They could have jumped to 50 or 60, and they could have put some more time on the clock, because I felt like everything just went by too quick. So that was one of the reasons why I didn't really like the format. But I mean, and I know that they're trying to do change some things around with that for the All-Star game, at least for next year. But I mean, of course, it's always good to see the young guys and the all stars and the dunk contest, 3-point contest. So of course you have those things, but I mean it was okay. And to your point with the halftime show, I didn't like it either, especially with LeAngelo doing his performance. I think that was the worst one, bro. I didn't think that was necessary. I think the performance that they had right before then, I think that was just fine. So it was just like, yeah, you're overdoing it. But I mean, hey, that's the NBA. Of course, they're trying to get more viewership and obviously trying to get more revenue for entertainment people to come out. So, but yeah, I just didn't like it. So that's what it is.
Nah, man. Like again, a lot of people share your opinion. I was just bopping my head there, singing that LeAngelo song in my head. It's everywhere. It's everywhere. It's kind of hard to ignore. It's really catchy. I am really happy for him.
Low key, it's been in my head. I don't know why, but I mean.
Yeah, nah, man. Like, hey, when they're playing it that much, it's kind of hard to escape. And I am really happy for him, really to find this newfound success in the music industry. He has 2 brothers inside of the National Basketball Association. I know, obviously, this is a public podcast. He could hear me saying this. And like, I congratulate him on his newfound success. I'm pretty sure that was really difficult to even try to muster like a hit of this magnitude, even with it being viral with this new day and age of social media. Like it really has him taken to a next level with how many people are supporting him. Like Lil Wayne hopped on a remix for it. So I'm just really happy for him. Like especially after the whole UCLA situation with the whole Donald Trump thing and stuff like that. I'm really happy to see him really at 26 years old just find like this new career in his life. You know, he just had a child as well. So I'm really happy to see him really really find the success outside of basketball. For so long, it was a part of his identity with his brothers and his brand. And now he can finally branch off and really do his own thing and potentially set up life for his brothers after music. They already have that with how intelligent they are. No matter how young you see LaMelo act in the media and stuff like that, all three of them are extremely intelligent. I definitely 100% believe that, being able to navigate the waters as long as they have, being as famous as long as they have. And I'm really happy for LeAngelo. Like I said, I'll continue to say that. I pray like he's able to like his next hit can even go, because it's gonna be hard to recapture this amount of fandom. So I really just hope he can find like this subtle footing in what we know in the music industry. It can be really hard to do. Like it can be really hard to even have like a core fan base. And once he finds that, because like the whole family has a core fan base with what they established when they were in high school in Chino Hills. But now with the music, people are really this resurgence, so to speak. I really think that for him, it's gonna really pay dividends in his career moving on forward, you know, like. And like the last thing I will say for him, the only reason I mentioned that he had two brothers inside of the league is really more so about like that definitely has to like psychologically like mess with you at least a tiny bit. Like your older brother and your younger brother are in the league and you were on the same path as them, you know. And I do feel like just that one mistake in college like really kind of make, because we know the NBA is really about image for the most part. It's kind of messed up that I say that because we got some players in the league right now who have done some crazy things and they've been picked up post trial and all that type of stuff. But I don't really know why he did spend some time on the Greensboro Swarm. I do think his brother probably pulled some strings to get him there. The Charlotte Hornets G League affiliate team. And he's a great shooter. Again, I guess people just didn't like what they saw from him. But like I said, that's why I just said everything I did just say. I'm really happy he doesn't have to really worry about basketball anymore. He can just make music and really just try to move on with his life, you know. Garrett, and I feel you. I think as he gets older, he'll just, because I think in these performances, he's a little nervous for sure. Like I get it, you're performing on the court when like you have teammates and stuff like that. But when you're out there with the spotlight like literally singled in on you and all these cameras and phones, it's like you've been waiting for this moment, like seriously, that's when you really have to like perform and stuff like that. And like he's rehearsing with the backup dancers, stuff like that. So I just think he has to just really continue to become more comfortable as a rapper. I think I think even he himself is starting to surprise himself and then like impress himself with how far he has came. But I did just want to give LeAngelo his flowers because I did think that was pretty cool. Even Shams reported that he was about to perform like during the All-Star game and stuff like that. So it was pretty cool to see him get that shine in such a big spot, of course. And yeah, like I was gonna ask Wiley, of course, he did give his opinion on our last episode because guys, you normally see me and Garrett on camera, and Wiley's normally working the ones and twos. But he had been watching, obviously, like we did mention, he's been watching basketball longer than both of us, so he has seen numerous, and he thinks that's an insult. That's a blessing.
Yeah, he's seen it all, people. He's seen it all. Day and age. He's been on this earth for a long time. Before like I even got here. So, I mean, anybody knows.
Oh man.
One and only.
So and before you go, like, because you've seen it go like from being a regular All-Star game, regular All-Star weekend, even to the point where like 3-point contest was new, stuff like that, dunk contest, things of that nature. When it was superstars in dunk contest, not just role players, to the point where you now seen, like I just mentioned, the rap performances during the All-Star halftime show. Like I don't know if Run DMC was coming out in 1985, and
like I was too young to know that.
Like seriously. So I did just want your opinion on how you felt about the All-Star game. I don't know if you got to watch all the games with the Rising Stars and stuff like that, but how did you just feel about the formatting as a whole? The three teams, the Rising Stars playing the big teams. Like, how did you feel about All-Star weekend as a whole?
First, let me start with LeAngelo. Yeah, that was pretty cool, but also the lights was too bright for him. He was out of breath. Like you got to like if you're gonna perform like that, like you got to be on your p's and q's because like even though he had his background music, like you could tell like it's that's different and
Mhm.
it's not fair. And now I'll say it's not fair on the sense of us just watching the Super Bowl and watching Kendrick fucking perform the way he did on a football field.
In a stadium, yeah,
Yeah,
in a
and
stadium,
but
not in an arena.
and I say that at a sense of Kendrick's breath control is unbelievable to do that, and I think he moved around the field. It was like 145 yards, like for his total performance. So then you look at LeAngelo, and it's like, dude, you're coming out here, and don't get me wrong, I know probably jitters, things like jitters, excitement, adrenaline's rushing, and so all that's going, and you you don't have that breath control like you thought you would. So I get it, but yeah, for LeAngelo, dog, you gotta really put in the work to perform live. That ain't no joke. Now as far as for All Star Weekend, uh, it was hard for me to look when I'm more focused on Unrivaled 1-on-1 compared to the Rising Stars. Uh, of course I do. I did not care about the celebrity game. Um, I the celebrity game I already said. Turn it into rock and jock. Find some celebrities that can actually hoop to make it a
Oh,
little bit entertaining. Just a few, a few more that can legit hoop. Um, the Rise of Stars game, I was kind of in and out of. I didn't really get to see much of it, um, so I wish I would have got the chance to go back and watch. I never got a chance to.
mhm.
But overall, although I'm kind of with Draymond when he was talking about the Rising Stars playing on Sunday. I get where he's coming from. I get exactly where he's. Granted, yes, we know Draymond didn't fucking make the All Star until a couple of years into his career.
Late
But
bloomer.
yeah, but we've always like when they started doing the whole, even when they started doing the rookie and sophomore game, like that was always done on Saturday. That was a Saturday event, either a Friday or a Saturday event, depending on where they. Well, no, it was always a Friday event. Friday event because of the fact that 3-point contest and everything else for Saturday. But I kind of agree because so here's how I looked at it. You ever been to the gym to go hoop and you have that main court that everybody's playing on, and then the other court where everybody's probably warming up, or if they are playing another full court game, it's not they're pretty much waiting to get picked up or to either to get picked up or to have their team ready to play on the main court. So that's how I looked at it. So I got where my thing was, it wasn't the message, it was the messenger. um with the whole tournament thing, this could have been better than what it was. I It was too much of a spectacle because we literally got 42 minutes total, and I'm talking about out of all three games, we got 42 minutes total of actual gameplay in all three of those games. So just reel it back, make it you know make it East versus West, or we'll discuss with the world team and Team America or Team USA, however you want to put it. Like, make it a full game because I agree with Garrett. Like, it's either if you continue with that, you got to make this. 40 points ain't it. 40 points ain't it. You know how quick these players can score 40. And I hated the fact that they got the 15 points and it was a timeout. Like, yo, if a team's getting cooked, guess what? Let the coach call the timeout. Don't make it a forced timeout, because again, you have to think about the viewership at home. Like, I'm sitting there like, yo, why are we, what is going on? Like, why are we having so many stop? Like, it was like, hell, soccer doesn't even have this much stoppage time. So and then get rid of Kevin Hart, please. Don't like. Can we stop bringing Kevin Hart on?
Man,
I hated every bit of it, and I'm like, I get it. Kevin Hart used to be funny. I mean, he has his moments, but he used to be like really funny. At this point, it's overkill. Like, don't even bring any more comedians on. Just let the game speak for itself. Let the All-Star game speak for itself. So, yeah, I didn't enjoy it as much as I wanted to. As far as the Saturday events, outside of Wemby and Chris Paul trying to cheat the system.
Yo, bro, even because literally I went on X and I even tweeted because for me, I was thinking like, am I tripping? Like,
right.
maybe I'm missing something because maybe I didn't like understand the whole like rules of the skills challenge.
Right.
And then later on, everybody was just like, okay, y'all were actually supposed to like shoot the ball. So
Oh
I'm
no,
just
hey,
like,
Wimby threw one of them up, and that shit.
I mean, I'm just like, what are they doing? So I'm just like, am I tripping? I'm just like, okay, they were just trying to like cheat. So I was like, oh,
Yeah,
okay.
they tried to
But
find a loophole in the system, and I was like, all right, but they knew damn well they weren't. Come on, man. Again,
I mean, Chris can't get mad at that either, because I mean,
well, no, I'm
because
just saying.
he was the one that had like an actual look on his face. I'm just like, I mean, y'all talked about it, so I mean, you
You're
can't
right.
get mad because you got disqualified. But yeah, it was just weird for me. So
Yeah,
yeah.
and it's just like, outside of that, of course I thought it was funny, but also for Chris Paul and Wemby, it's like, yo, y'all gotta, again, y'all have to think about the fans on this one. Like, viewership, all this shit is about viewership. You've already been like, the NBA has been getting trashed enough about the All-Star game and the lack of effort, and that did not help.
No.
A lot of the play during these 3 games did not help. I had the OGs winning just because they were the OGs. They were not finna let these younger teams come. The younger team, the younger and the youngest team, and then the international. But they were not finna let these guys win at no cost. So I had Shaq's team winning from the jump, because I'm like, they know what time it is. And then on top of that, Steph was going to do Steph like Steph did. He had his moments, and like, just go back to 2 teams, please. Play an entire game. I don't care what you got to do, or even if you do keep this format, that 4th team, to hell with the Rising Stars. Make it the snubs.
Goodness, Wiley.
I'm just saying. Make it the snubs. The snubs. Because I feel like if you put a team full of snubs on there, they gonna try and ball out.
Yeah,
They're gonna try and ball out and prove
that
a
is
point.
true. And to be honest with you, though, I mean, even with Chuck's team, with
Mhm.
Trey, Wemby, it just seemed like the effort wasn't there.
Right.
And don't get me wrong, I'm not like saying that's the whole reason why Shaq's team. I mean, they won fair and square, but it just, to me, I just felt like with Chuck's team, I feel like the players could have gave a little bit more effort. They were just like whatever. But I
It's
mean, I
that
get
too
it.
cool
But
factor.
that's something that I didn't notice. I'm just like, okay. I
It's
mean,
that too cool factor with the younger, like with
right,
that 20, that below 30 crew.
right, yeah, yeah.
And again, that's just my opinion when it comes to that. Of course, we see it with kids and and young adults at just dealing with regular stuff on an everyday basis. Like,
Right.
these kids and these young guys, everything's too cool. They too cool to do this, too cool to do that. Like from an NBA standpoint, hey dog, you actually getting paid to do this. So go out here and put on the show. Again, I'm not telling you to go. I'm not telling you to go balls to the wall. Make me believe that y'all are putting in the effort. That's it. That's all.
Exactly. Yeah.
Nah, man, like both you guys made great points. Like, I guess like to give my ending notes on it. Like, again, it's like what to go back to what Wiley said about the viewership. Like they were just trying so hard to do something new, and they wanted to have everyone's favorite player, like any player that they could possibly think that people like. They were trying to get them any young player that they liked, including like the Rising Stars team. Because even like before that, like they had like the multiple like young squads, like with Tim Hardaway, Chris Mullin, like all these teams. Like they're really trying really hard to get everyone's favorite player. They had Jeremy Lin coaching like the G League team. So they were just like absolutely Linsanity, most definitely, the former Hawk, Jeremy Lin. So yeah, man. And again, I think it was really more so based on viewership. It was them like when they came up with this last year, like in that briefing room, it was really them just trying their hardest, like to really just have inclusion, really have like their favorite play, like representation damn near from all 30 franchises. Like if all 30 franchises could have a star like represented, they were gonna do that, And again, just them trying to appeal to a young audience. The young audience, they're the ones that can sit at home and actually watch basketball all day. You feel me? So like they're the ones they're gonna try to aim for the most, and like that's where like the LeAngelo Ball stuff came in. It's cool seeing them keep their ears to the streets, literally. Like it was cool to see them really like try their best to really keep up with what's actually happening right now in the NBA media space. So I will give them credit for that. I just think that this is something that they probably should have went over more. It probably sounded good on paper. It was just it was so much going on that like they couldn't even fit it the way they wanted it to when it came to like the basketball. Like they definitely would have had it play more, but they just like they already committed to so much, so many musical performances, like so many guest appearances. Like they had to do it like this, and with so many players, they thought like the players like itself was just going to sell people on getting to see all the all-stars and stuff, and that wasn't enough. And that didn't really happen because all the musical stuff got in the way. Instead of just letting them play basketball, it could maybe work, the all-star tournament stuff, if you just let them play like real games. Like if it took place over like 2 days like that. We've seen like in other sports, like WrestleMania now is 2 days for the most part. WrestleMania, but for the WWE, just used to be one night and that was it, but for the most part now it's 2 days because they're trying to appeal more, trying to squeeze the orange. That's the biggest night in their company, and for the all-star weekend, it's normally 3 days. And I mean, playoffs get more views because that's when the games are real. That's when the players try harder. That's when the stakes are more up. But when it comes to All-Star Weekend, it's like Wiley said, most people watch for the spectacle, and they like seeing all their favorite players team up, all the dream matchups and stuff like that. So I do get it. You feel me? And yeah, like again, as we end on it, I thought it was okay. I give it about a 6 out of 10. I just thought the commercials really ruined it. All the advertisements really ruined it. And I thought that only happened because, again, like all the stuff they were trying to include. And I thought if that didn't happen, I thought it could have at least been like about an 8 with all the talent they had with the teams that played each other. And like I said, the Rising Stars game versus the Shaq OGs was really interesting to really see the young players really rise to the occasion like that. It's like seeing a college team play like a professional team. It was pretty cool. So
you said again, you give it a 6.
I mean, like
no, that's your score. I'm just saying because I know what I give it. Garrett, I don't know what you give it.
It was watchable for me. It was watchable for sure. It was some good highlight plays. Like Trey, no bias, made some good passes. Stephen Curry won All-Star Game MVP. He hit some crazy 3-pointers in that last game. It was like before half court. He was just like cashing that. And it was cool to see that, But continue, right. Garrett.
It's Steph. You know how it goes. It's Steph.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. Like, and in the Bay, like he was gonna have to shine and stuff like that. So I thought the players who normally show out did indeed show out. It's cool to see him add another trophy to his collection. One that some people like most top tier Hall of Famers have All-Star game MVPs, like Michael Jordan has one, Kobe Bryant has one. So like a lot of them want to shine on that night, So yeah, but you were gonna give your rating, Wiley. Please do. I would love to hear it.
I give that shit a hard double dribble miss.
My man, go to the
My
sound.
goodness.
Go back to the drawing board, man. Go back to the drawing board. Let's try this again.
And even then, like with you saying going back to the drawing board, that actually goes into our second topic of the night. They've actually already released the formatting for the 2026-2027 season, 2025-2026. It will be the USA team versus the world team, so that they're gonna have American players, the best American players in the country, in the world, you could say, versus the best world players in the world. So you're gonna see your favorite players like Luka, Wemby, Nikola, Shea. They're all gonna team up together. Like that, I do think on paper is pretty cool, because that's gonna cause like some European players are better than American players. Like that's really gonna like trigger that. That I do look forward to.
I don't look forward to the main media. Sorry. That part.
Oh, for sure. Like I can see why you would say that, most definitely. And like, hey, this does show you, because I just said when they came up with that stuff in the back, this shows you how early they really try to be a year ahead to try to work out any kinks and stuff like that. So how do you feel about the formatting going into next season? And even then, before you say that, I know I mentioned Wemby. I definitely want to show some love to him. Everyone got the news that he's going to be out for the season. For the remainder of the season, unfortunately, he was having an unprecedented season on the defensive end. At such a young age, and it's some blood clot issues. We saw what the blood clots did for Chris Bosh of the Miami Heat and the Toronto Raptors, the legendary power forward. So just really want to wish him the absolute best. He has a really, really, really long career ahead of him. So I'm not surprised they sat him down this early in the season. They have their star point guard with him for the future. So this is really just about them just really just relaxing until the end of the year. They have picks in this lottery, so they're about to get ready for the draft come June. And that's it. Definitely had to show some love to one of the biggest European players in the world, and soon to be the biggest player in the world in the next few years. I'm definitely going to say that. So how do you feel about the new formatting? And of course, you can show some love to Wimby if you want to, most definitely.
Was that for me or Garrett?
Oh, Garrett. I mean you. I'm sorry about that. You.
No, it did suck to see that that news come out about Wemby. So yes, very, very much a fast, quick recovery for blood clots. I know how that feels. Shit sucks. But yeah, like you mentioned, Chris Bosh. I didn't know that Amen Thompson had the same issue.
Wow.
So yeah, and I think he took a year. He took a year to kind of get himself back together. So it's possible to have a full recovery. Of course, we know how the Spurs operate, so they'll make sure that he'll be ready to go when it's all said and done. So again, speedy recovery to Wimby, man, because that surely did suck to see that ESPN flash on my phone earlier today, and I was like, wait, what? But as far as for next year, so they're rekindling this the world versus USA. This has been done before. Again, all of this is going to come down to effort. And I think hopefully, as much as I say I hate the media portion, the major media portion of it, because they're going to draw this out. And that's the part that's the part that's going to upset me, because of the fact that it's been back and forth of, Are the international players better? Hey, this is the NBA, regardless of international or not. Like these are the top players in the league. So, um, again, effort is going to be the thing, and then on top of that, this one's going to be in LA. So we should see LeBron. I'm pretty sure this is going to be LeBron's last hurrah. That's I'll put my so-called turban on or whatever, or I'll open my third eye on that one and go ahead and jump out the window with that one. It's going to be interesting to see who they compile uh, for the U.S. team. Like we know the usual suspects for the world team, and most of that's going to come to who's available to play. And when I say that, of course, Joel Embiid is going to be one that we'll have to look at if he's available to play. Um, we know Luka will be there, Joker will be there, Shea will be there. Um, yeah, Cat. I'm sure Cat will be on the world team, but it's going to more so be, hey, who's on the USA team? So if as injuries aside, Bron, KD, Steph automatically. Those that three right there is going to be a shoe in, and then of course Anthony Edwards, more than likely Anthony Davis as long as he's healthy. And it's going to be that matchup. How it's going to be? How can we make these matchups to where people are going to be excited? Because I think if they put it on paper right, the excitement will be there. So as long as they get that part right, they'll be fine. More so, I look at the events, and so of course, oh yeah, John Morant and Giannis.
Stop the cap.
Because y'all know it, to me, it should never take somebody in the dunk contest to make you want to do the dunk contest. If you're gonna do it, get out there and do it. And of course, they want more stars to do it. Typically, your stars or your stars slash superstars, they do it early within those first 3 years, and that's typically what people want. Hey, get out if you get out there and do it when you're at your athletic peak, whether you win or lose. Hey, we can be like, hey, I saw Ja get out there and do his thing. And half the time we don't even remember who lost because we too focused on who won.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just more so, hey, if the NBA can make it appealing, that's gonna be the start. To finish, the players have to finish it. That's it. As long as the players finish it, this shit'll be talked about forever.
Right. Nah, hey, great breakdown as always. We'll see how it goes next year. I look forward to it at least. But Garrett, I would love to hear what you have to say about it, the new formatting for next season. If you think it'll work, just based off the USA World format, and how'd you feel about it when it got announced?
Yeah, first shout out to Wimby. I was just as shocked as everyone else that saw the news today, and yeah, it literally just came out of nowhere. Nobody wasn't expecting it, but I pray that everything will go well for him and his family, and hope that he'll have a speedy recovery, because you always want to see players of his age with his unique skill set to go out and be successful. But of course, he won't be able to do that, at least for the rest of this season. Hopefully, by next season he'll be fully healthy, ready to go. So, and we know how the Spurs are, like Wiley mentioned, that they're going to do whatever they need to do necessary to protect their players and make sure that they, get out on the court and ready to go. So, yeah. So, big shout out to Wimby and speed recovery. Now, as far as the format for next season, I think this one would definitely be more exciting compared to this year, because at least you'll have two teams going at it, at each other. And I guess this is kind of I'm not fully comparing it, but this is kind of similar to the Olympics, where you see uh, you know team like Team USA go against other international teams. For example, like with Team Serbia, you have Jokic, and with Greece, you have Giannis. Guys like that, Canada, Shea, Jamal Murray, those guys. But
Mhm.
but in this case here is where you have all international players on one team and going up against Team USA. I think that's going to be more exciting because, to Wiley's point, you have Shea, you have Joker, Giannis, Cat, Jamal Murray, maybe, but just to name a few players, and then of course we all know who's going to be there for Team USA: LeBron, KD, Steph. So, and of course other guys. So I think that would be more exciting if they would just do that format and make it to an actual All Star game where you're playing 48 minutes, and then the score would be 150 honestly, it doesn't have to be like a set score. Just play 48 minutes, and then whoever
Right.
wins, wins. I think they just stick to that. But I think that format will be exciting if they decide to not go for the traditional East and West team All Star game. I think they should just stick to the traditional.
Mhm.
But if they decide not to, I'm not opposed to them trying this out. I think it's intriguing because at least you're seeing some of the best players on both sides go at each other. Now I do want to mention this. I think there was some rumors that they may change the events, meaning the dunk contest, the 3-point contest, or anything like that. Now, if they decide to change that up, I think a one-on-one tournament would be nice for doing that instead of doing I would say, I mean, you could replace that either with the right with the skills challenge, or possibly the 3-point contest, or maybe you can still do all those things and then just add that one there. But I think if you're able to add that, I think that would be nice, because I think a lot of fans would like to see Kyrie Irving go against somebody, because we all know he's one of the best if he's not the best, I mean one of the top ball handlers in his league, and one of the
Right.
best finishers too. So I think a lot of people would like to see that too. But yeah, if they're able to add that in there of some sort, I think a lot of fans would enjoy that. But overall, I think Team USA versus the world team, I think that definitely be something. And like I said, if they decide not to go back to the East versus West, then I think that's something that I can actually work, and then see how it goes for next year, and then build on from it afterwards. So yeah, I think that'd be a good idea.
Oh yeah, shout out to Unrivaled for that one on one tournament like
Yeah.
that. I and just to piggyback off you real quick, Garrett,
Mhm.
I think if I'm the NBA, I would try and just add it, and that would you have to kind of work it through the week, and then
Right.
once the weekend gets there, like your final game, the finals, or your semifinal and finals get played on the actual weekend.
Yeah.
So that way, I mean, I don't know. That's of course that's me spitballing. And if the NBA takes my idea, I need my check.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Nah, for real. Nah, it was great input from both of you. I agree with what Garrett said. I think this move right here, because it just seems more of a more comfortable move compared to what they did this year. So, I do think that they are just trying to find their footing. They're real formatting heading into the second half of the decade as they hit 2030. They want to find the thing that they can really go to all the time. And but it has to be interesting, and they can always do the East versus West, and they know that, but they really want to try to mix it up for the fans. And I think that's the best way to do it. having like dream matchups of the best European, world players play with the, and it's still a dream matchups of the best American players. So that's really, really cool in my opinion. I do think it is going to last for a long time. Just with the talent they have on both sides, with the war it's going to cause between the players on social media when All-Stars when All-Star begins. It's just right there for the taking. It's always been a thing throughout basketball. The Olympics just happened this year where we saw America take home the gold medal, of course, go USA. And I think for this, like, again, we saw the emotion in that gold medal game. If any of you guys got to watch that, when France played USA, and they lost, and you see Victor Wembanyama was just like heartbroken, devastated, after losing to them. You really could tell, like, he put so much in it, like so much of his heart into that one game. We saw Josh Giddey when Australia got eliminated. He was absolutely heartbroken as well. So we know how much it means for these dudes to really represent their country and where they're from. So I think with the pride of representing like their country, because like who knows, they could have like the patches of where they're from, like like a French country, like Slovenia, Lithuania, like wherever the players are from, they could do that. So that's why I think it's really smart to play that angle, especially because we know that the 2028 Olympics are also in Los Angeles in the next 3 years. So I think it's tailor-made. I think it's gonna be really cool when it happens, and I am excited to see like the banter between the players and stuff like that. So
I was gonna say that would be the part. The players got to play it. That like all of this has the making to be a great All-Star weekend if the players play. If they get the playing into it, and like you said, tweeting back and forth, or subtle shots, like subtle competitive shots to make that, to build the game up, and then go out there and actually play. Again, it will get talked about for forever.
Mm-hmm. It would just be the recipe for a storm like that, like knowing how competitive. Because my friend really, and I'm kind of mad at myself for not really seeing the game like this when I was growing up and stuff like that. My friend one day back in 2019, my friend was talking to me, like he said, "Hey man, like look at it this way, like all these dudes in the off season, they're really friends, they're really homies together. So don't really see it as like they're really beefing or ever anything like that. It's really just work for them. It's a job at the end of the day when it's this many cameras and they have all those men in suits watching them play and stuff like that. They have to act a certain way. They have to put on, a performance, because this basketball stuff has gotten to a level where it's not just playing in your driveway with your homies anymore, when there's this much money involved. So, like he's always told me, like, and ever since learning that, I've always seen it from that perspective. So, but that being said, like there would be so much trash talk between the players. Like they know, like amongst themselves, like they would definitely like feel like, like the world players are better than the Team USA players. And just the potential of it alone is reason enough for me to want to watch it next season. I do look forward to it. Depending on what they decide, what they do decide to do outside of that, it can really rejuvenate the All-Star game, All-Star weekend for me. I do like what Garrett mentioned about the one-on-one. I would love to see them at like an NBA trivia night or something like that, like really test like the knowledge of young players and stuff, like because like they could do it in like an NBA game show format, kind of like how Steve Harvey does Jeopardy and stuff like that. I don't know, like it'd be cool to see like like an old player dressed up, or like Charles Barkley or something like that, or like Ernie Johnson being the host or something, like
it would have to be Ernie. It would have to be Ernie.
Like seriously, like for real, like questioning the young players and stuff. It would just be really cool because his fans back home would be screaming at the screen like, "Oh, come on, you don't know that this and that. Oh, this doesn't really like who three-peated from the years 2000 to 2002, and stuff like that." You feel me? So, I don't know, like. And like I do think they will change like the events leading up to it. Eventually, I do think they will get tired of like the 3-point contest and the dunk contest, stuff like that. Especially with the lack of stars, they knock on so many doors before they hit up the rookies and the sophomores like that, and the stars just turn it down every single time. So I think that it's like And what I was just about to say, it actually literally just happened with what Wiley said. Like, once they see players get out there that aren't stars and perform, that's what's going to make them want to get out there. Like, they're hitting up Mac McClung every year. I do think that he should be in it by next year by default, being the reigning champion, so he could defend his title.
If I'm Mac, I retire. Man, fuck it. I've won this shit 3 times in a row. Come on, man.
And because like he knows he keeps it alive, like like jumping over cars and stuff. I was actually watching a podcast and like a dude on the podcast sells cars and stuff like that. He was saying like the Kia Souls, like the sales went up by 50% after he jumped over that car. Like he's really said that last night when I was watching the podcast. So I was like, that's pretty crazy. Like that's why I just said like when these players be friends in the off season and how they have to act and like all these lights and cameras, like just like completing a dunk over a car, like they're probably gonna reach out to him, Kia, and give him a car for free.
I hope so.
Like just like the fact that he did that like that, we're like reviving the whole Blake Griffin thing. And
I'm about to say, and Blake Griffin, that's how you jump over a car. That's how you clear a car.
Because he's doing
not the hood of a fucking car.
Like the middle of it, like the apex of it, like the actual sunroof, like
cleared that, man. That's
like pure vertical. And like these dudes they be world class athletes. We're so used to them just hooping, just jumping up, grabbing rebounds. When you see them, when you see it in person, like of course you could be like in the bleachers, stuff like that. When you're on the court and you see their feet just leave the ground and then really just like dunk the ball that. That's when it's like, okay, like I see why like these dudes really get paid millions of dollars to play the sport. And then you have to it's such a high level because so many people are like absolutely obsessed with basketball. It's really going to test you how much you think you like basketball when you get out here and really try to go against these dudes. So when you've seen that they've made millions off basketball, just know that their effort, they were that obsessed. Especially like the superstars, Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryant, stuff like that. Dudes that we know that weren't the nicest guys, that were mean players, when it came, because they just prioritized winning and stuff like that. And those two dudes happen to not really have holes in their resume and stuff. Only thing you really say about Kobe is more people thought he should have more MVPs, but like outside of that, I mean, either way. That's just that. And of course, I'm talking about these star players because we were just discussing the All-Star game. And like we did mention, Candace Parker was one of the coaches during the All-Star weekend, and she did have the Rising Stars team. Like we did mention earlier, there were 4 teams to begin with. It was Tim Hardaway Jr., Chris Mullin, Jeremy Lin. Trying to remember the other team. Because see.
You need the coaches.
It was Mitch Richmond. Mitch Richmond.
Yep.
It was TMC. It was Run TMC from the other Golden State days. Yeah, I was thinking because I knew it was Tim Hardaway. Chris, you can't have Tim Hardaway and Chris Mullin without having Mitch Richmond, of course. Legendary Golden State Warrior. I wish he would have stayed there longer. Stayed there like from 89 to 1993. I'm surprised they let him go the way that he did, but he went on to Sacramento to become a legend in Sacktown. So shout out to Mitch Richmond, one of my favorite players personally. Great shooting guard, great shooter. I love Mitch Richmond, most definitely number 2. And yeah, man, we saw that Chris Mullin, he's a great coach apparently, with Dalton Connect and all these guys on his team. And we saw that the Rising Stars, they did give Shaq's OG some an actual problem. I believe the final score was about 42-35. So they didn't lose like that, they definitely gave him a run for their money for certain. So we wanted to just end the show by just really discussing any players we think on the Rising Stars team that we're really the most high on. You can pick one player in particular that you're really excited to see his future, how he'll fare in the franchise, and why, why you like the player. And if you think he'll eventually go from the Rising Stars game to the All-Star game. Gary, you can give your first pick and the guy you chose as your favorite Rising Star this year.
Yeah, I'll probably give it to Stephon Castle. I think he really showed out in the Rising Stars game. And so I think that he's a guy that does have a bright future with the Spurs. And obviously with them having De'Aaron Fox, it's kind of I wouldn't say difficult, but it's just where you just have to have more time for him to see where his role fits with that team. But just looking at just his athletic ability during the Rising Stars game and him being able to score at a high level. So I think he's probably the best one out of all the other guys. Now, don't get me wrong. I think there's a lot of guys from the Rising Stars game that will be a major piece uh, to their teams already. I did have him in Thompson as another guy. Dalton Connect, if he stays with the Lakers long term, I don't see that happening honestly. But and also Alex Sarr from the Wizards, I think he's going to be a core piece to their franchise. But overall, just looking at which players has the best chance of being like an actual star in the NBA, I think I give it to Stephon Castle, and he did a tremendous job. So I'll get at him.
Mm-hmm.
Agreed, man. I've been high on Stephon Castle from the jump, especially once he got drafted to the Spurs. Since you took my guy, and then also I would have picked Stephon Castle to win had Mac McClung not been in that dunk contest, because he put on the show as well. So shout out to Stephon Castle, man. Like I like his game. I really like his game, and hopefully once Wimby comes back and they're able to get Wimby back, him, De'Aaron Fox, like that three right there, it's a perfect mesh, I think, for the Spurs, and for the future of the Spurs. Shout out to our guy Nick Andre. What up? But yes, Nick Andre gave Amon Thompson. He was my guy. He was my second guy. He's been doing this thing out there in Houston. He is currently averaging 13.7 points, 3.4 assists, 8 rebounds. Those rebounds, he's probably one of those rookies that, because him and his brother, they're really quiet. They don't say a lot. They get out there and they hoop. And even for his brother, like both of them are. I wouldn't be shocked if we got both
In the All-Star
guys.
game.
Yeah, both of those guys to a point where they get to hooping, where they do become all-stars. I feel like having that twin brother helps you push to be better. It'll be an iron sharpens iron type thing, and for them to be twin brothers and be able to link up during the offseason, I know for a fact that they will help each other out.
The one thing I did want to say before you continue, they literally went number 4 and number 5
right
in the draft, like for real.
But yeah, Amon Thompson, man, I think he has a bright future ahead of him, especially on that Houston team. Of course, it just remains to be seen, like what Houston does moving forward. I would have said Reed Shepherd, but unfortunately, with Reed Shepherd getting drafted to the Rockets, he got dealt a raw deal because they were so guard heavy. So, and then with Amon Thompson kind of shooting up on the rise as far as his play, it kind of bumped him out the way a little bit. So, and then not to mention Fred Van Vliet being signed, and Dylan Brooks coming on, like they ended up, it was like they loaded up from a guard standpoint, and it kind of bumped Reed Shepherd out the way. Hopefully, Reed's able to find his way back to the league. I think it will have to be a trade. That's just me. He's going to have to get from out of that guard heavy team and get somewhere where he's able to get some actual playing time.
Really? Oh man, I would love to see Reed like really become like, because watch him at Kentucky next to Rob Dillingham like that. I really think he could become like the surgical mastermind with the ball. Like really, like there's Steve Nash, really have like that 50% 3-point clip in his back pocket, but he really prioritizes passing with Alperen Sengun, Jabari Smith Jr., like Jalen Green, like all these players on his team. I do like what Nick said. Amen Thompson. I am really high on both Amen and Asar. It's pretty interesting because they're both on two teams that are destined to honestly rise to the top of their conferences. I do think if we fast forward to the year 2029, I think the Detroit Pistons, if we are in February of 2029 right now, if I hop in the time portal and I go into the future, I think if I look at my phone, I think the Eastern Conference standings will show that the Detroit Pistons will be no lower than a 4th seed in the Eastern Conference of the NBA. So I do think that like with Oscar on a rising team, Houston is already a rising team. So they're already showing their improvement right now. And I think that Detroit, it will catch up eventually with Ron Holland, with Jaden Ivey, with Cade Cunningham.
They're currently six in the standings right now.
Exactly. So if they're that right now, by 2028, 2029, they will be a solidified powerhouse in the East with all of that homegrown talent with this bona fide superstar, not a star, a superstar at the top of the roster with Cade Cunningham, the 6'6" point guard, former #1 overall pick. So they have everything they need to succeed, including the talent around him, all homegrown. Like I said, all these dudes were drafted by Detroit. They put the jerseys on them. And they were like, and they did it against all odds, really like having terrible seasons, but given the 5th pick, the 4th pick, really being able to really bring home the correct pieces for their franchise player, even without having a top 3 pick, was really impressive to me. And with Amon and Oscar, I think those two eventually will both be all-stars. I can't even say especially for both because I really, really do like both. Like Nick mentioned, he obviously likes Amon. That was the first one that came to his mind. I do see why he's saying that. He's already almost averaging a double-double. I think his leap next season, I think, is going to be ridiculous. Like, all he has to do is just get used to the physicality. And once his jump shot just improves, so once he become like a 33% three-point shooter, enough to gain respect, he's just going to be crazy with his athleticism, his defense, his rebounding. And he's so young with the team that he's on, with the coach.
Uh-oh. Well, you know what?
Sorry for the technical difficulties.
Sorry for the technical difficulties, y'all. But also, a underrated player for me would be Grady Dick. We know he's up there in Toronto.
Yeah, he was killing it.
Yeah, of course. Now, I look at it, is this a Kevin Love situation when he was in Minnesota? Because somebody has to score the ball.
Right.
Is it that, or is Grady Dick? I mean, I honestly think he's a solid player, but again, with the way that Toronto looks, and again, somebody has to score the ball. You know, the numbers could slightly be inflated, but hopefully from his standpoint, it's not, and that he continues to improve as his career goes along.
I'm sorry about that. Can y'all hear me?
Yeah.
Good. Yeah, my bad. It's all good. We're almost done anyway. Got about 5 minutes left. I was gonna pick Zach Edey for the Memphis Grizzlies. I really like him down low at the center position. Everyone was doubting him coming out of Purdue. Shaquille O'Neal, some were calling him averaging 25 points and 12 rebounds a game in college. Most people kept saying, "Oh, like, what do you expect from a 22-year-old, 7'4" center in the post?" And he's playing teenagers, and I get it, you know. But I do think with him averaging 9 points and 8 rebounds right now, I think he's gonna go on to really just be if anything, a great role player, really, really valuable for the franchise. And I think he was tailor-made for the Memphis Grizzlies. Also like Jalen Wells from the Memphis Grizzlies as well. He's also really, really good, averaging 11 points a game right now. I think he'll be a good piece next to John Morant for the future. And my third pick, of course, last but not least, it was Ryan Dunn from the Phoenix Suns. I really like Ryan Dunn as well. We just know Phoenix are having their fair share of ups and downs right now, but I like Ryan Dunn a lot for his defense, just his potential on that side of the ball. And I thought he was a steal for Phoenix as well. And with how young he is and already looking this good on defense, like, I do think eventually he'll go on to really be one of those dudes at his position in the NBA. So I think all three of those players, if I had to choose which one becomes an all-star, I mean, I think Jalen Wells has looked really, really good right now. Like, you know, I think he could honestly do it. He's put up some really good numbers this year, but also got to show some love to Keontae George from the Utah Jazz. He was also on that team. He's averaging 16 points a game right now. That's another guy who's getting, you know, his season's getting shrouded in the, you know, the sadness of Utah right now, unfortunately. But he's still no disrespect to any Jazz fans. Of course, my favorite player has their jersey in your Raptors, Pistol Pete. I love him. And yeah, Keontae has a bright future. They just got Lauri Markkanen on extension, so Keontae's looking good, and I think he's gonna look really good in the future. And those are my top players. If I had to say all four that I mentioned to become an all-star, I'll probably say Keontae. Just given the situation they have in Utah, he has the green light to really become that guy at the guard position. He's already averaging 16 a game, so I think he'll probably take that leap next year, averaging about 19 a game to about 21, and it'll only get better from there as the Jazz improve. That's going to take a little bit with the draft picks that they're going to have to put the right pieces together. Isaiah Collier's looking good. Like I said, I like Lauri Markkanen, but it's going to take a little bit for Utah. But that's honestly my front runner to make the All-Star team in the future. As a young player, I like Keontae George, and out of all the rookies that I mentioned, I think Edey could honestly do it in the future, but I also like Jalen Wells too. I think he's a really good player. Really underrated in my opinion. Like he's just had some really good performances that really put him on the map this season. But at 21 years old, he'll only improve. He just had 17 his last game. And I look forward to his career, honestly. So I like Jalen Wells and I like Keontae George for the most part. And yeah, we'll see how it goes in the future for these dudes. But thank y'all again for joining us on episode 64 of the Uncommon Commentators podcast. Please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Always love doing this show. Couldn't do this without the guys you just saw me with, Garrett and Wiley. You got any closing sentiments, Garrett? Anything you want to share before we get out of here?
I'm all good, brother. Thank you all for tuning in with us. Like Antoine said, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe to our channel. We really do appreciate your support.
And thank you guys again. Couldn't do this without Wiley, the ones and twos, always. Really, really big part. A massive part of what we do can never be underestimated, undermined. We love him, most definitely. Great guy, great wisdom. Great hoops head, as you all can tell. Has a lot of experience watching, as we always like to say. And yeah, man. Again, it's a blessing to be watched as long as Wiley has been watched. And we can only pray to watch basketball as long as Wiley has. And just thank y'all again for joining us. Really love doing this. Shout out to Jay Holloway. Shout out to Raina Holloway again for even giving us this opportunity. They're really, really hard workers. Great parents as well. So go follow them on social media. Go show them some love. I always love talking to them, chopping it up about basketball as well. It's February. It's almost over. We know it's coming up in March, that March Madness. So might chop it up a little bit about that on the channel as well. Always got to talk about the college hoops, the upcoming stars who we will see in the draft come this summer. One of the biggest drafts in the last 20 years is this summer. You could definitely say that. So can't wait for that. And thank y'all again for joining us on the Uncommon Commentators podcast. God bless y'all. And good night.